Welcome to mypersonalfootballcoach.com's Soccer Player Development Podcast. Discover all the secrets, hints and tips about soccer player development and soccer coaching from some of the leading figures in world soccer. Here's your host, Saul Isaacson-Hurst.
Hi guys, welcome back to another show, and this week we've got a top guest again for you. And listen, this is someone I've been trying to get on the show for quite a while, been having some back and forth. It's Thiago Macedo. Thiago's works in Brazil, unbelievable coaching CV, worked at Fluminense, also at Santos, and is now under 16 head coach at Club Athletico Paranaense. And listen, this is another fantastic privileged conversation I'm having with a top practitioner, someone who really knows the game, with lots of quality experiences, like I say, working some of the best clubs in Brazil. And I've been trying to get another guest on for Brazil for quite a long time. So again, I'm really privileged that he decided to come on the show and share his journey and some of the extraordinary work he's done at all these top Brazilian clubs, and his experiences and producing these top players who now play obviously in Brazil and all around the world. So this is one I know you're going to enjoy. And just want to say as well, the Coach's Pass, the My Personal Football Coach's Pass, is now available on the My Personal Football Coach app. So the Coach's Pass obviously is a library of hundreds of drills and skills, videos, and you get the only place as well you're going to get videos every week of sessions from academy coaches and from myself from around the world. Go straight to your device, your iPad or your phone. And also you have obviously as well as the videos, you get diagrams of sessions as well, and you can make collections and then view them on the app. So it's a bit of a multi device system going on there. But yeah, check it out. Like I say, the Coach's Pass, nothing else like it out there. You get 7 days money back guarantee. So really happy that's finally on the app there. It gives you that app experience. You get those videos right to your phone or your device every week. But listen, now back to the show, and here's one, like I say, I know you're going to enjoy it. This is a top episode, and here we go. So, Thiago Macedo, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thank you to invite me.
Yeah, look, glad we finally got you here. We've been many weeks we've been trying to arrange this. Obviously, time difference, you're in Brazil and I'm in Asia at the moment, but fantastic you can finally join us. Give us a little brief outline of your coaching and playing journey up to this point, please.
Yeah, I have a background of a futsal player. I stopped playing futsal with 26 years old. And during this time, when I was 19 years old, I started to be a coach, coaching futsal, some small clubs, with under 11, under 13. And then in 2010, I started to coach football. And I became like head coach of futsal and football until 2013. And then I went to Fluminense, that is a big club here. And I started to be a head coach of futsal under 11. And 1 year after, I moved to football. And since then, I'm just coaching football. I spent 7 years in Fluminense. I worked in all categories. Under 11 until under 20 on youth categories. I was in Slovakia in an international project in Fluminense. I spent 1 year being assistant coach of the first team, and I spent 4 or 5 months during my coaching course in UEFA in Finland.
Wow.
So I worked there 4 or 5 months being an assistant coach of first team there. And then I come back to Fluminense, worked 1 year more, and then I moved to Santos. It's a big club here too. Spent 2 years there, and then I moved to Athletico Paranaense. That is my actual team here.
Wow. So that's quite an impressive CV there. You worked at some big clubs. Just before we go on, just obviously you're looking at your CV here, and it says you did a postgraduate in football and futsal at university. So just tell us about that. So you did your PE degree, and then what was that? Tell us about that course, because I've never seen a postgrad in football and futsal before.
It's more the scientific. It's like university. When you do I did the PE education here. So I spent 4 years studying in the university, and then when you do this university, you can do the post-graduation. And I spent 1 year and a half more studying about methodological things, some fitness development, and it was half and a half, like half futsal and half football. And I need to do some publications, like articles, like scientific articles.
And so you'll be doing stuff like how to coach and different tactics and those sorts of things in that course.
Yeah, it's especially the methodological details.
Yeah, interesting. And obviously, so your background's in football and futsal. You're a futsal player. So then you begin to tell us about your first days then as a futsal coach. How was it making the transition from a player to a coach?
Yeah, it's very hard because when you are playing, you don't have the whole idea how to coach. You think that you are really prepared, but what you know is just about the game. It's not about the planning situation, the methodological things. So it's very hard. And when you start to coach, then you see that it's very hard. And you thought that I'm prepared, I can coach, I know a lot of the game. So, and then you start to check that it's very hard. I was coaching when I was in university and playing, so I always try to make the knowledge of okay, I'm a player, but I have the university here, and I try to make a relation with this knowledge and try to be the best coach.
And tell us about futsal. I mean, what are the transferable skills, do you think? Why is it good for footballers to play futsal too?
In the player point of view?
Yeah, I mean, why if I'm a club, why should I introduce futsal to my program for my players?
For me, until 13 years old, for me is the golden age to play futsal. You can think that between 10 and 13 you could train and play both, but for me it's very important that young players play futsal, because the ball is a little bit small, is smaller, so you can improve better the technique. So the relation with the ball is better for a child. Imagine that sometimes you have 9-10 years old, and the soccer ball is the same tall that is hitting your knee, so and bounce everywhere. So the futsal ball is very important to get the technique skills. Is played with 4 players just on the pitch, on the floor, and always you are having touch on the ball. The tactics is simple, but is very important that all players are enjoying in some acts in the game. So if you think that every part of the player, the technical, the tactical, the physical, and the mental, for me is very, very important that the futsal could help, especially the young players to be motivated, because they always touch the ball. They have the technical skills, and all the time in the defensive way and the offensive way, they must have some targets to do to reach the tactical idea.
Do you think, because it's funny, interesting here, because there's many different opinions about futsal in England. Some people see it as a passing and moving game. Some people see it as a dribbling game. How do you see it in Brazil? What is what is futsal? What's the essence of it?
Here in Brazil, especially in the youth categories, is more dribbling skills. I did some presentations for European people that I could show that, for example, every top player from Brazil, they play futsal in this age that I told you, and the same skills that they have for 1-against-1 for dribble, the same skills that they have with 11, 12 years old, they have until in the first team, in the professional level. So they learn like really young, and they could transfer the same skills to the football.
Yeah. Okay. And so tell us a bit about that, because obviously 1v1 domination is a really big part of my philosophy, and how I work. Tell us about how the 1v1 works in futsal in that way. Your 1v1s, and do you coach the skills, or is it more about letting the players express themselves? How do you approach that? For example, you tell me. I assume you have your players like your Ronaldinho who naturally have the balls, or who naturally have those individual techniques, and then the players who maybe don't. Do you help them develop those techniques, or how does that work?
Of course, here in Brazil, it's a lot of things helps the player to be like creative, to be like very technical. Our culture is about that. They play on the streets. They have music that I don't know if you know, but samba, funky. They have a lot of things around our culture that helps. But especially futsal, I think futsal develop the planning training before football. For example, if you think in futsal here in the 80s, in the 90s, they already note that small-sided games, some trainings that is we can call like calls, that always stimulate the player to be creative. It's very important. And if you think about the futsal game, 4-against-4, if you have a good defensive idea, normally the game is broken. Is you have space when you have a 1-against-1. So you have a lot of passes, but if you just have passes, you cannot like finish the idea of offensive. Always have a 1-against-1. And if you think about young players, they like to beat the opponent. They like to challenge the opponent. 1-against-1 is our culture, and we, like a coach, we need to think about ideas of training that stimulate, that improve this quality, these skills.
A couple of things there. So obviously, I think you're talking about culturally. Obviously, culturally, Brazilians, you have that in your DNA, don't you? That's what, when I think about Brazilian football, I think about those skillful players, Neymar, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo. So naturally, that's in your culture. That's interesting. But then you talk about stimulating that through your training. How would you do that? Give us an example then of a training session. Talk about futsal first, because we're on the subject. When you're trying to develop those 1v1 qualities in players, that dribbling qualities.
We don't think just the easy way to be like a 1-against-1 situation. But for example, if you do a game in futsal 4-against-4, and you have one area that is 1-against-1, so it's a game, and then when you have the ball in this kind of area, you have a 1-against-1, and you must go challenge the opponent. You must to beat the opponent, to shoot or to pass or to do something. This is one way to think this kind of 1-against-1. And of course, I always tried when I was coaching futsal. I always tried to make the player touch the ball. So I have seen some trainings that most of the time the players, they are waiting to do some exercise, or they do some exercise and then they rest. So if you think you have a squad, I don't know, 15, 20 players, as many time as possible, they must have the ball. They must touch the ball. They must have some things to enjoy the training and to have the technical skills. So this is our creativity way to plan a very good exercise, a very good training session to improve these kind of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, same here. When I'm working, same thing here. We talk about ball to player ratio. So, we have we have 16 players. We have 16 balls maybe to begin with. Everybody has a ball, and we try not to have a situation we got one ball, 16 players, I suppose. But tell us about that then. In a futsal session, what does a typical futsal session look like if you have 16 players? Give us an idea what a typical session might look like, from the warm up to different exercises, that sort of thing.
I do some good trainings that, for example, if I have 16 players, and I don't think the most of the training session I give one ball for each player, because this kind of exercise, one ball each player, they have some stuff to do, like control the ball. They do it by themselves when they are in the house. So what I think that we can do is maybe separate 8 and do some ball possession or some attack against the defense, to have like 4 against 4 situation, or maybe 3 against 3 and two neutrals. And I can think about what rule I would put to improve the skills that I want. For example, this kind of area situation to have 1 against 1, or maybe I put some time when they are closing to the goal to shoot, and then they have some times to be like really quick and try to beat the opponent and shoot. Or maybe I can do some options, like 3 or 4 options to how to beat the opponent. You cannot shoot if you don't beat, like you pass through the opponent. You cannot just take to the side and shoot. You need to beat, and I give some options. I don't like to make rules that I close the creativity of the player. I just I always try to make some rules that is open mind, that they could use the creativity and make something different. This is what I think, especially in futsal.
What if, for example, a player struggles in that situation? They cannot beat the defender. They cannot find a solution themselves. What happens then? Do you step in and support that? Do you scaffold that? Give them some support to find a solution, or do they not? How does that work?
Of course, depends on the age of the group. When they are like really young, I need to try to support and give like a chance to the young guy beat the opponent. But if you think like the age 12, 13 and older, maybe I will change the ball possession. I will try to give the ball possession for the defensive, the opponent. And I always try to challenge the player. If I don't beat this opponent, I will lose the ball. So this is what they have in mind.
So I'm mentioning, because obviously you have culturally very different there generally. I mean, so the expectation is the boys will just come to you with the individual technique already, with those skills already, that 1v1 domination skill set already.
Yeah, most of the time, yes. But what we do, of course, is improve this technique and try to show that this kind of player when can he use, because most of the time we have players that is very technical. They have the ball control. They can beat the opponent. But when you put this kind of guy in the game, he could not score. He could not be like very useful for the team. So what we do is try to stimulate the creativity, try to improve the technique, but try to show, hey, this is the way to score. This is the way to help the team. So think what is the best thing to do in each part of the game.
Yeah, so like the decision making, that's your supporting there.
Yeah, decision making.
And so you think that they're coming with this technique because of they're playing in the streets all the time? You think that's where they're getting it? That's the cliche, you know, all the Brazilian boys and girls just playing in the streets together and stuff like that. Or how's that? What's that? Tell us about, you know, what does it look like at grassroots level? What's it look like in outside the academy when they get the players in?
This helps the streets, the culture, the music, everything. This is around our culture. It helps, but I think the most difference between here in Brazil in Europe, what I have seen is for us it's very important the young age. Most of the teams in Europe, they have a coach when they have like 11, 13 years old. They have like coach, and they are really professional coach when the group is under 15s, under 16s, when they are really young, like with 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Normally the clubs they don't give the same importance. So here in Brazil we have under 5, for example, under 6, under 7. Each age group we have a coach, and sometimes it's the coach, the assistant coach, the fitness coach, and sometimes the goalkeeper coach. So it's like a lot of professionals giving a lot of importance for this age of group. And if you study the knowledge of movements, until 9, 10 years old is the golden age to learn movements. So if you have a very technical player and you do a lot of very good exercise to improve, to develop this in this age, of course, when they are 11, 12, 13 years old, they are very good in technique. And then after that, we start to teach the tactical, the decision making. So this is what I think is the difference, and this is what futsal is very important.
So, and tell us, so what's that look like? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What do the sessions look like for the players at that age?
Is most of the time they play futsal, and most of the time is about technique. Is everything is opened. It's not we cannot specialize one player in technique with this age, but we can stimulate the technique. So it's very they enjoy the training. It's not like professional training. We have like 4 coaches during the session, but it's very good for the players. They must enjoy. This is the man mentality. The player.
But give us an idea what a technical session, you know, apart from the futsal, what was a technical session look like? Because obviously, you know, you produce such technical players, so they're learning on the street. But what else? How you doing that technical work in your sessions with the youngest players?
This is the age that sometimes is good to have one ball each player, and you can do like a challenge game. For example, one player try to do some movement with the ball, and the other players try to do the same, and they try to teach each other. Is very good. We can do like some passing and dribbling skills. we try to don't do like when you have cones and you're dribbling around the cones. We try to make like you always having opponent. So, for example, if you have 4-2, 5-3, and you do some small sided goals without goalkeeper, just passing goals.
Yeah.
And you have some areas. So it's always like this kind of training, but we don't stimulate the competition, and we try to always make some relation with the children likes, like I don't know. I worked with this age in 2009, so it's very hard for me to think about this. But what I haven't seen is like that.
So what about, so for example, so let's talk about Fluminense. When you go there, a big massive club. So you start in the 11s. Tell us about that, like, you know, for the under 11s, for example, how many days a week do they train, and for how long are the training sessions?
Yeah, I will try to talk just not just about Fluminense, but about general here in Brazil.
Perfect.
Normally,
perfect.
Until 10 years old, for example, most of the clubs start with 5, 6 years old. Until 10, it's just futsal, and they're training 2 or 3 times a week, depends on the clubs. During 10 years old to 13 years old, most of the clubs, they train 3 times futsal and 2 times football. Some clubs, they train 3 times football and 2 times futsal. I would prefer to train 3 times futsal and 2 times football. And 14 to 20, they just play football, and it's 5 or 6 times per week. This is the general what the clubs here in Brazil, they do.
How long is each training session generally?
1.5 hours.
Right. And do for example, the children have, like in England, we have a thing called day release, when children come out of school for 1 day, for example, or 2 days a week, and they come to the club and train in the daytime. Do you guys have that as well?
No.
So all the kids will, you know, for example, they'll train, go to school in the daytime, and then after school they'll come to training.
Yeah.
What time? What age do the children start full time at the club?
For example, with 16 years old, normally they have 2 periods of training sessions. For example, they here in Athletico Paranaense, they train on the morning, is field training, pitch training. During the afternoon is fitness training. Not every day, but three times or 4 times per week. And they go to school at night. So this is the routine of the week. Yeah.
So let's go back a bit then.
Until 18 years old. So it's 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah.
When you are older than 18, by our law, you could not. It's not. You could not go to school. You can be like out from the school. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So then go back a bit then to your first job in Fluminense, like your first under 11s assistant coach. What was that like, going from being a futsal coach to going to be a football coach?
Yeah, it was not my first job in football. My first was in a small club in 2010.
Yeah.
But in Fluminense was the biggest club that I started to work. So I tried to have the same idea of futsal in football, and for me, it was good because I started to think about the small relations of the game, and I have one presentation in PowerPoint that I could separate the pitch. Or for example, you have the tactics 1-4-3-3, and you can check that you have three pitch of futsal. So I start to think about the relationship of the players, and I start to play like really near of Guardiola, the same idea, and the players start to improve a lot. And this was the thing that most of the players they become a professional level in Fluminense. I can say about the Kaique that is in Manchester City now. Matinho is in the Manchester City group. The Renier that was in Flamengo, he started to play in Fluminense. He was sold by Flamengo to Real Madrid. He's playing Borussia Dortmund now. The Marcelo Pitaluga, the goalkeeper, is in Liverpool now. Bruno Prachedes is playing the first league here in Brazil, in Red Bull. So it was a lot of players that was in my team that now is in the professional level, in
wow,
good level.
Give us an idea then, like for example, under 11. Then what's the format in the games? How many aside do they play? 7 aside, 9 aside, 11 aside.
Yeah. In the period that I was working there, when I was coach, it was 11 side. It was a small field, not a small goal, but it was a small field, but it was 11 against 11.
So what age do they start in Brazil? When do they start playing 11v11, or when's the first age group?
Is under 11.
Okay, so at 9 and 10, what do they play?
It's normally 7 against 7.
Okay.
But in some states, for example, in São Paulo, this was in Rio de Janeiro. In São Paulo, they just play 11 against 11 with U13.
Okay, so they go 7v7, and then you
and 9 against 9.
All right.
9 against 9 with 11 years old, and then 11 against 11 just with 13 years old. So some states they think about a different way.
Yeah. So then tell us about that. I'm interested. Then your under 11s work. Then you talked about you want to play like Guardiola. Give us what would a typical session look like then when you're on the grass? Tell us what a typical session would look like in with the boys at that time. Because this is because everyone's coaches. We all want to know, what your, everyone likes drills, everyone likes sessions and gets ideas. So give us a taste of the Brazilian under 11 session at that time.
Just a curiosity. I talked a lot with one friend of mine that was England. He's British, and he worked in a company that start to think about futsal to formate players for football. That is most of the clubs in Europe they don't believe. And I always talk with him, and he always tried to ask about the drills and everything. But I think, and probably most of the coach here in Brazil they have the same opinion. We don't have like special drills. We always try to think in a new drill or some relationship with my idea of the game. For example, this time of under 11, I was playing 4-3-3, and I always try to check what was the relationship of the players. And when I come from futsal, and in futsal you don't have a like very positional game. You have always mobility, change positions, and I try to do this in football. So in this kind of in this team, I just the center backs and the striker, it was more positional. most of the players, they have the possibility to change the positions. So I try to always think the relationship of the players. For example, when I told you about the pitch of futsal,
Yeah.
you can think that the goalkeeper, center back, and the holding midfielder is 4 players that have a relationship.
They rotate.
And I try to, I always try to make this relationship and connect this kind of players. I worked a lot with the body adjust. I don't know how to say it in English.
Adjust. Yeah.
And I can think about one center back, the right wing or right back, right back, hold midfielder, and one creative attack midfielder. So you have 4, and then they have a relationship. So I always have in my mind that I need to make the sector of the game and try to think about this relationship and make some exercise that improve this relationship with the players. To each player know each player and know what is the idea to have the ball, try to make the ball on the floor and have good passes and give some situations with 1 against 1 with free space. So this is the high idea. And I always try to make some drills, some exercise that could improve this idea.
Yeah, because that's a challenge. Because I'm the same. Rotation's a big part of a lot of the academies I worked in, and for example, we always say, every session should have some sort of rotational element to it. So the challenge is getting it in. For example, we're doing some passing and receiving work, not like in a cone to cone, but in a shape and height, width, and balance. But they say, right, you must rotate and move and always have balance, that sort of thing. Same, possession, rotate moves, whether that's in a 4v2 or a bigger game. So my question would be, what are those? How do you translate that, from your brain to the players? For an 11-year-old can be quite challenging maybe to understand that. So is it, because you talked about earlier, in the futsal, it's very good. You have, 16, you have 4v4 here, 4v4 there. Are you doing the same sort of thing with the 11-a-side stuff in terms of small-sided stuff? You talk about relation in there, or is it much more in an 11v11 game? You're talking about, the rotation in that. How does that work in practice?
No. In this kind of group, in this age, it's very hard to think 11 against 11. To training, of course, I have the competition that it was 11 against 11, but for training sessions, most of the time I try to make small-sided games, like 4 against 4, 5 against 5, 6 against 6. This was what I was thinking just about the relationship. So I never did players, for example, I didn't put center back play with the striker. This is one relation with players that doesn't exist in my game. So I try to make players like playing together and give the options to change the position, and made like small-sided games to always have the player touching the ball, and it was easier to them to understand what was the idea. And of course, it's very hard to children of 11 years old to understand the whole picture of the game. But most of the time, I always try to explain them before the training sessions, during the training sessions, and after the training sessions. And maybe I did some mistake with this age of group. I had a technical coordinator that always talked to me, hey, you cannot work with under 11. You give them a lot of informations. You must coach like older age. Maybe this was the reason that I grow like really quick. But what I think, maybe I didn't make the training like attractive for the children. they could not enjoy like really happy, not just not totally relaxed, but I could think that they improve a lot. They improve a lot because all the training sessions was like technical elements and the tactical, of course, most of the time like technical, and a lot of information about the details of the game, the body adjust, how to beat the opponent. I could talk with the 11 years old players. I could talk about the base of the opponent. You understand base?
Yeah.
Like with feet is forward,
Yeah.
and when they have like the right feet forward, they have difficult to turn the hips.
Yeah.
So sometimes you must beat the opponent for this side and try to stimulate the change direction of the player that has the ball and try to beat the opponent. So I give always this kind of the details, the information for the player with 11 years old, and they understand, they try to do. And for me, maybe it was a lot of information for this kind of player, but for them, I think I thought that it's good for them to know, because they will beat the opponent and they will be like happy. They could see that they are improving. So I think maybe it was a mistake in this age of group. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so what? Tell us about then, like that age group. You talked about you're playing a competitive league, right? So every weekend you're playing a competitive fixture in the league.
Yeah.
Tell us about then, like how often do players switch position? Are they fixed position at 11? Do you have your striker, your centre back, your right back, or are they encouraged to play different positions at that age group?
Yeah. Normally they played until under 11. No, until under 13. They played at least 3 positions.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then they'll then focus on a position then at under 14.
Yeah, under 14, under 15, they start to focus in one position, but sometimes some players they played like 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. Under 17, under 20, maybe 1 position. But most of the players, when you have like very good process, if you ask for them to play, you can play in this kind of position. Yeah, I know. I could do. For example, if you think about Matinho, that is the holding midfielder that Manchester City bought from Fluminense, he was a striker when he was 11 years old. He was like really, really striker. And when he was 12 years old, I started to talk with him to make him holding midfielder. And he was very disappointed with me, very angry. And the other players start to shit him, like, oh, Matinho is holding midfielder because he's not good enough. And I start to talk and explain, and he agreed with me after, and now he's in professional level in this position.
Now he can thank you for that tough decision you helped him make. Tell us about just briefly about, and how do you, and that age group as well, just 11s generally, how do you approach the game day on the weekend in terms of it winning and development, that sort of argument? How important is winning on the weekend?
Of course, for them it's very important, but I try to take out this pressure, especially because the fathers they put a lot of pressure on the child. You have to win, and we play with a brand, with a big club. For example, if I played Fluminense against Flamengo, some parents, some father, they think that is like professional level. Oh, it's Fluminense against Flamengo, yeah, but it's under 11.
Yeah. And
I try to give the idea for the players that it's not the most important. It's not just to win. because if you win in for example, I just shoot the ball forward, run, and some set pieces, and I win. I cannot improve. So what is the best way to win is to make what we do during the week. In the training sessions, our philosophy, our idea of the game. If we play this in good way, okay, we can lose, but I will be happy to see that we try to do what we are training.
Do any teams in Brazil stick it in the mixer, as they say in England, put long ball and try long ball and kick it? Do any teams play like that in Brazil?
Yeah, we have, especially the clubs that the manager they give a lot of importance of the winning games.
Yeah.
And they put pressure on the coach, and of course the coach start to make a simple idea and try to win all the games in the way that he wants. For me, especially for the younger categories, is really bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, I had this conversation the other day on social media and said the same. Say, what would be the reason for playing that way with the young players? Because we watched a video of an under 11 teams here, and they said there's no reason apart from the ego of the coach, maybe, or the desperation to win at all costs, right? I can't think of a development argument which outweighs playing properly for the youngest age groups.
Yeah, there is no reason to do this. And I was talking with friends of mine that especially like really younger age, under 7, under 8, under 9, some coach they don't allow the players to dribbling. Oh, you are the last man, you cannot dribbling. Why?
Yeah.
If the player has the courage, they trust on him, and I want to beat this opponent. I'm the last man. Lose the ball, score. What happened now? It's the process.
Yeah, Thiago, 1 second, Thiago, bear with me 1 second. Tell us also, do you have any like policies on game day? For example, how do you communicate with players? For example, Chelsea had a great policy where you don't talk to attackers when they have the ball, and you don't talk to defenders when they don't have the ball. So not too much communication in play, and how do you communicate with the players at half time? Tell us a bit about your communication strategies generally on when you have game time with players.
What I think, or what I think about the.
Well, yeah, what you, yeah. Well, what do you do? I mean, with younger age groups and with your current age groups generally, what's your thoughts on the thoughts in Brazil?
When I was working in the younger players, with younger players, I try to don't talk too much, especially during the games, because if you think about I don't know the word in English, but autonomic. Do you understand?
Yeah, absolutely, automatic.
Yeah. So I try to make the players have the decision makings by themselves, to be automatic. So I already given a lot of information during the weeks. So in the match day, I try to don't talk too much, and I think that when you talk too much, especially the young groups, they start to do what you talk. So for the process, I think it's not good. But when I start to working in older groups, under 20s, under 17s, depends on the group. Some group they need some information. Some groups they don't, and in this kind of age, especially because our clubs here in Brazil they give importance for the results, for the winning game. So sometimes I must talk, give some information.
It helps. Sometimes you need to help the players, right? The players need help sometimes.
Yeah.
What about half time? How do you approach that in terms of how much information you give the players?
Yeah, I try to. We have 15 minutes, yeah, the half time, and I try to 5 minutes give them like a rest. 5 minutes, I don't talk, and I talk just with the coaching staff, and try to in 6 8 minutes give some informations like really punctual informations about the team, all the team. I always, when I talk with them, I separate in defensive phase, offensive phase, and some set pieces in this order. And the last minutes, I just give individual informations for some players that they need.
Yeah, interesting. So, and tell us a bit then. Let's want to talk a bit about when you moved to Santos, because you had your role was head of methodology, basically, right? So tell us about it, because again, this is something we don't really have in England. I know it's popular in Spain and Holland. Tell us about that role, and what does it entail?
This is one function that you must think what is the DNA of the club. For example, if you think in Santos, the DNA is very offensive. So if I'm a technical coordinator, methodological coordinator, I could not allow that the coaching in Santos start to be like very defensive and just playing counterattacks. This is not the DNA of Santos. So this is one way to think about coach, and we start to make a program during the whole youth academy. So which contents they need to train in the under 11, the under 13, 15, 17. So they have contents. The player must have some skills to move to older category, and during the weeks, the micro cycle, the planning, which exercise they choose. We have the idea of the club. So, for example, you have on Monday, you must have technical training. On Tuesday, you have to do some small-sided games, always with opponents. On Wednesday, you have like a bigger exercise. On Thursday, is most it's about the speed of the game. On Friday, some tactical elements, strategical training, and then you have the match. So this is one way to think about Santos. And sorry.
And I'm just interested, like, for example, like, your average week, then, are you communicating with the under-9s coach, and as well as the under-20s coach? Are you supporting what the coaches are doing with the youngest ones as well, and encourage them to do certain practices?
Yeah.
And so then, and how much freedom does a coach have? Do you say to coach, right, I want you to do this practice, this practice, this practice, or do you say, I want you to work on these ideas, and they have the freedom to do their own practice? How does that work?
Just the idea.
Yeah.
I will never talk about special exercise. Oh, you must do this kind of, no.
Yeah.
You have to think about the whole idea, and you must know that the DNA of the club, the idea of the game is that you respect the idea of the DNA of the club, but the exercise, the planning sessions is about the coach.
And how do you monitor that? I mean, so for example, if we always say the best evidence is how the boys play on the weekend, I suppose. So if you watch a game and then you see someone who's playing very defensively, then you say, well, then maybe that's the problem. There's a problem there.
Yeah. And I was always during the weeks seeing the training sessions, and then when I start to see some training sessions that is against the idea of the club, I must talk with the coach. It was one coach. I don't know which category, but I need to talk with the coach because he was changing the tactical of the game, and he couldn't not give his striker on the sides, his right winger and left winger. The tactical of the game, they could not. They start to play like 4-4-2, like really in the past, like four with a squad on the middle, two holding midfields, two creative midfields, and two strikers. And I start to talk with him that the players that Santos sold is Robinho, Neymar, Rodrigo. It's wingers. So you could not play. You could not play against any club without wingers. This is the most of the idea of the Santos. This is the DNA of the Santos. If you can play like I don't know, 3-2-5 or 4-3-3, you can play wherever you want, but you must have wingers because this is the DNA of the club. This is what the scout when they are searching some players, they try to find this kind of player. So this is the DNA of the Santos. You cannot take off this player.
And was there any difference in the methodology or the approach or the DNA between Fluminense and Santos, those two big clubs?
Yeah, Santos was more offensive and more direct, like ball on the field, just pass forward, put the ball on the wingers, and try to beat in 1-against-1 situation. This is the DNA of Santos. Fluminense is more ball possession, change the area with the ball, stay with the ball the whole time, and just go forward when you have space, just finish when you have good chance, or you go back and then start to create a space again. This is the difference.
Interesting. And so tell us about your current role then. How did that come about, that change in club? And tell us about, your average type of week you have with the players.
Sorry,
tell us. So your current role now, your current club, and your current coaching job. How did it happen? And tell us a little bit about it in terms of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What is a typical week for you?
Yeah, I go out from Santos because I have some other ideas to coach, and they changed the manager there. So I prefer go out, and I spend 3 weeks unemployed, and then Athletico Paranaense called me to be the head coach of under 16. It was very good opportunity for me because this club here is for the facilities, this entertainment is one of the best here in Brazil. And my week here is very similar of I was working in Fluminense. The similar ideas to have the ball, not have the ball all the time, but you must have the ball and control the game. It's not just go forward and put the ball on the side and beat the opponent 1-against-1 and shoot. It's not the idea of here. So my week is very similar of Fluminense, and it is idea that I like it more.
And tell us about then. So, for example, give us a training, the typical training week of the boys and yourself. You have the 16s in. Give us the what happens and how much on the grass and how much off the grass. Your analysis. Give us an idea of the typical training week for the boys.
Yeah, we train here Monday to Friday, Monday normally is technical skills. For example, yesterday I did a very technical exercise in specific position. For example, a lot of crosses for the players that played on the side, finishing the strikers, and it's not just finishing like shooting, but with heading. The center backs, they train some anticipations, some heading like defensive headings, the holdings and the holding midfielders and the creative midfielders, a lot of pass and body adjust and finishing too. And I finished the training sessions with some attacking against defensive. Today I did very small side games. I did one exercise that was 3 teams of 7 players. One team in the ball possession here, one team defending with 3 players in a sector here that they just can intercept the ball, and 4 players pressing the ball here higher. And the team of the 7 players try to make 5 passes and try to pass to the other team that was waiting here. Yeah. And it's ball possession, and they have some rules to when the defensive team win the ball, they must decide if they pass to the team that was waiting, or if they could finish the ball in a goal. And I start to play like ball possession and the defensive transition. Was the idea of the game. And I did one small sided game before, and I did a small sided game after. That was 7 against 7, just 7 against 7. If one team score, the team that give the goal goes out, and the one team goes in.
And then that's always an hour and a half. Those sessions are about an hour and a half, are they?
Yeah, normally it's 1.5. For example, the small sided game was the warm up was 15 minutes. Then 5 times of 5 minutes. It was 1 hour and 15 minutes, 1 hour and a half, always like that. I always try to respect the time of the match. In this age is 2 times of 40 minutes, so it's 18 minutes with the warm up, maybe 95 minutes. So I always try to make these training sessions.
Interesting. And give us an idea then of tips of the week, but how many other staff are there with you with the under 16s? You are head coach, and how many support staff do you have?
Yeah, we have the head coach, the assistant coach, the fitness coach, the goalkeeper coach, and one guy that is the, I don't know how to say in English, but is the analyzing videos.
Analysis, analysis. Yeah, the analysis guy. Interesting.
So it's 5
and
people.
How much time did you do off the grass, like analysis and stuff like that? How much time do you do away from the grass and in the meetings, analysis, and in that sort of thing?
It's a lot. For example, my routine day by day is I start at 8 o'clock. I go to the field. I have a very small meeting with the coaching staff just to adjust something for the training. I do exercise, like put all the cones, everything. I put everything prepared. We start the training 15 to 9. Normally 10:30 finish. 10 to 11 to 11:30. I start to talk with the coaching staff what we think about the training session, what was good, what was bad, what we need to improve. And then we go to lunch. And then after that, we try to see the film, the movie of the training session, and then we have some talk. Oh, this was good. I remember this. This was good. We need to improve. Let's do it this next week again. And after that, we start to plan better the next day. Hours on the Friday, we have the planning of the next week. So every Friday we have what we will do the next week, but we don't talk especially about the exercise. We talk about the idea and what we do about the. We don't talk about the rules of the exercise, but the idea of the exercise. And then day by day we adjust the exercise. This is what we do the day before. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what about yourself then? Obviously, look, you've already had a fantastic career. You worked at 3 massive clubs already. What's your ambition for the future?
Yeah, I'm going step by step. For me, it's very important to be a head coach of under 20. This is my target now, and spend like 3-4 seasons. Maybe try to have to win a very important competition here, being a head coach of under 20s. And after that, I start to think about to be assistant coach in first team here. But I have the idea to go out from Brazil too, to be a head coach or assistant coach in professional level. But my top target is to be a head coach here in Brazil in first team.
Right. And what advice would you give to a young coach, aspiring coach who wants to have a career in the game like yourself?
He must see a lot of games to try to think a lot of opportunities, variations of tactical games, and study about the methodological to have a very good knowledge to know how to plan and how to talk or give information for the players. This is, I think, is the most important. Is not for me. It's not so important which exercise you do. If you go to internet, you see YouTube. You have a lot of exercise. If you talk with any coach in the world, they will have a lot of exercise. The most important is how to control the exercise and how to talk, how to give the information, how to have the perception to talk with the players. This is the key for me.
And the most important question, obviously, who do you think will win the World Cup, England or Brazil? Who's the favourite?
I beat Brazil.
Of course. Listen, Thiago, thank you very much. Been a pleasure. Really, really insightful and fantastic hour spent with you. Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you to invite me. It was a really pleasure for me. I hope to help you in somehow. And when you want to talk about football, is always happy for me to talk about football.
Lovely. Thiago, have a good one. Thanks very much and see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the MyPersonalFootballCoach.com Soccer Player Development Podcast. MyPersonalFootballCoach.com's Dynamic Ball Mastery Program is the world's leading online individual technical training program, proven and developed at the highest level in the English Premier League. Sign up now to train like the pros and take your game to the next level. Master the ball, master the game.